Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and I specialize in things like what keeps men stuck and fatherhood. Welcome. Today is the 23rd video of the 72-day challenge and it's my interview day. But before we get into that, I also want to acknowledge that it is Father's Day and I want to say congratulations to all the dads out there who are doing a good job, and I want to acknowledge that you guys are doing your best for your kids and keep up the good work. My interview today is with Cliff Turner from Mobile Minds, and Cliff is here to talk about his business and talk about fatherhood. Welcome, Cliff.
Good to be here.
So, Mobile Minds, care to tell us about that?
Yeah, basically it's a coaching service with some online material, and I also do public speaking, but it's all based on the topic of the human side of business. So when people go into entrepreneurship, who are they? What do they actually want from this business that they're creating, and how do they make that a reality? Then also, once they're in touch with that, how do they communicate that to the world so that when they do business with people, they're actually being authentic and showing, here's who I am, here's what I do, and connect with people that appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So authenticity is something I talk a lot about in my videos and when I coach men. Mm-hmm. What does authenticity mean to you when you talk to your clients about it?
It's kind of two phases in my head, I guess. Authenticity begins first of all with acknowledging who they are. In my belief, everybody that I deal with, they know who they are inside, but maybe they haven't really acknowledged it, took it out and said, here's who I really am. So there's first that phase, being authentic with yourself and accepting who you are, but then being able to shed the fear of showing that to the world. Okay. And say, here's who I am, take it or leave it, and be happy in that.
And you find that that's a problem and issue with people, is that they have a hard time showing their authentic side and their true self?
I think especially in business it is, because with in the world of entrepreneurship and in the world of business, it seems like we've been conditioned that we need to have this mask of seriousness and this professionalism that isn't really a true professionalism. It's this, like I say, a mask that we wear. Whereas I think most people, in the end, they want to deal with somebody who they trust and understand and feel comfortable with. And in order to really create that, you got to drop those masks and show who you really are. Still need to be professional and serious in business situations, but there's no reason why we can't show our character at the same time.
So you work with both men and women, I'm assuming. Okay. Yeah. And since business is primarily dominated by men, I would suggest, do you think that's a fair
I think that's really changing, but I think in the past it has been that way.
But we're still kind of have the roots in the business side of the world, if we look at banks and lawyers and
kind of, yeah, slightly arguable, but we're definitely
but it's still at roots in the fact that it was the old boys club in a lot of ways, but I still think that's influencing on that. Yeah. How do you find that women handle being in business and versus men? Do you see any difference there?
Well, in the realm that I deal with, I find that the women are much more accepting of the fact that they can be themselves. Okay. They just seem to be quicker to want to be authentic with the world. Okay. Men seem to hold back from that a little bit out of fear, I think.
Fear of what?
To bring it down to a basic root, I think it's fear of being wrong.
Okay.
Us guys, we don't like to be wrong.
No,
we like to look like the guys
not.
that know what we're doing, and we do it right every time, and we don't like to ask for directions.
Right.
It's the same thing in business. We don't want to take the risks where we might be proven that we did something wrong, because we don't like that feeling of being wrong. We don't want to be that guy. Whereas women, I think they'll take the necessary risks a little quicker, because they're quicker to say, yeah, I was wrong. Now I'm going to learn from it and move forward, which is part of that authenticity, I think.
Okay. We've talked in the past about you've noticed that there comes to a point in time where there's some personal work that has to happen when you do a business and getting more authentic with yourself. And if I remember, you've noticed that guys aren't as ready to go there as women. Is that correct? Is that purely out of the fact that they don't see the benefit of doing the work, or they just don't know if it's going to have a payoff, the benefit, or why is that? Do you think that guys they hit a wall and they don't move forward?
I think again it comes back to fear. Us men, we like to look like we're courageous, right? And maybe we are up here. Right. I'll take on a bear, whatever, right? But when it comes to our emotions, I think we're actually pretty fearful creatures, us guys. Right. And we don't want to confront that personal work, because we know it's going to mean we got to change some things. We have to admit we were wrong, which we don't like, and I think that's a lot of what holds guys back at that point.
So a lot about being vulnerable and showing what I call the softer emotions as to whether or not people are going to get in touch with, you know, their fear or their anxiety or all that stuff that men really do posture on, trying to show a good face on, or put out that wall so that it doesn't really affect them, or that they're not affected by that.
Right.
So what other ways do you see that men don't help themselves in business, if there's anything, besides the fact that they're not giving that personal side and they're kind of holding themselves back?
I think when it comes to interpersonal relationships in business, one thing that I see that guys run into that women don't as much is the pride issue.
Okay.
A lot of times business transactions will fail because somebody wants to be right, or somebody wants to prove that they were the dominant factor, you know,
Right.
and something that could have been great dissolves.
So
And
literally it's a pissing contest?
basically, yeah. Sometimes I call
No
it, you know,
kidding.
whose penis is bigger is what
Right,
it turns
right,
into,
yeah.
and they forget that there's actually a beneficial thing that could benefit
Right.
everybody involved, and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and what I talk about quite a bit is grandiosity, and
Yeah.
the fact is that you have to be, you know, you're better than people and whatnot, so you
Right.
can't allow yourself to actually meet them on their same level, right?
You know something I've noticed, and especially with younger guys now, you know the pictures that they take of themselves on
Yeah.
their phones and they put
Yeah.
that out there, they're all doing this, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
you notice
okay.
that? And they're all
Okay.
like this. If this is the pose, right?
Yeah.
With women, if you poker lips, with the guys, it's this. But it's like I'm looking down my nose at you, right? And really,
It's very-
it,
oh, I'm
it just
gonna
looks
look for
stupid
that.
from the other point of view.
Yeah.
But they feel grandiose, you know?
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm tiny.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We have to watch for that, because it's really about that whole posturing of supposing that you're better than people.
Mhm.
And well, no wonder businesses aren't going to go forward, because who wants to feel like you're less than?
Oh, exactly.
You know, you're not going to do business with me if I have to exact some sort of price out of you or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So-
If I don't feel comfortable dealing with you, then why would I?
right, exactly right,
Yeah.
exactly right. So, because it's Father's Day, and congratulations on being a dad, tell us
too.
what your thank you very much. Tell us about your kids.
Yeah, I've got two kids, a 12-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl. And in my head, like, my boy's going to turn 13 pretty quick, and I'm scared of this whole teenage
Right.
kid thing. That's a whole new milestone for me. And with my daughter, the way she acts sometimes, I feel like she's already
yeah.
a teenager in my head. It's scary.
Yeah.
But she's a little cutie. I love her to pieces. But
Right.
yeah.
Okay, and something I'm going to be covering this week coming up is how men parent different than they were parented. So tell me
Okay.
about your how you grew up and how you are choosing to make an active choice to parent different than how you were parented.
Okay. My childhood, it was very much me and my sister were kind of left alone a lot just because of circumstances. My parents split up when we were very young, and it just kind of happened that way, that we were left to our own devices quite a bit. And in a lot of ways, I really appreciate that. I think I learned a lot from it, and gained a lot of independence and courage from it. But I think when it comes to my parenting with my kids, I kind of knee-jerk the other direction, and I want to be involved in everything, you know.
Okay.
And sometimes I wonder if maybe I'm knee-jerking a little too far, like, you know, I should take my hands off a bit. But I'm definitely not a bubble wrap parent, you know. It's, it's not to
Helicopter parent that
degree,
kind
but
of hovers in is make sure they're not too far.
Yeah, definitely not
Right.
like that, because I do appreciate that they need to experience things and
Right.
you know, feel some pain once in a while to learn. And
Right.
but yeah, I think that's my main difference, is I'm a lot more involved than I remember having as a kid.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's an active choice, obviously, on your part.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest fears as a father?
I think my biggest fears is that my kids don't follow what's going to make them happy.
Okay.
You know, my theory is that kids know what makes them happy. You go out and you do what's going to be fun every day when you're a kid.
Right.
And slowly that's beat out of us by the school system. And then, you know what, basically it comes down to the fact, I was looking at some statistics the other day. Basically, 71% of our life, as a culture, we decide we're not going to enjoy. Because most people, they go to work, a 9-to-5 job or something like this, and we've accepted that we're not supposed to enjoy that. That's why you have this TGIF and hump day. You know, you're halfway through the week. Yay, suffering's almost done. Here comes my 2 free days.
Right.
And eventually, we lose that knowledge that we had as kids, that we're supposed to be having fun, enjoying our life. So my biggest fear is that they fall into that same trap that just about all society falls into.
And they're not living.
Them to keep that.
And they're not living authentic lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I want them to know what's going to make them happy, whether that's something that I thought would make them happy or not. I don't
Right.
care. I want them to follow what is really going to make them happy.
Okay.
So my biggest fear is that they don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Something to be worried about, right? Because
Yeah.
we want our kids to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
recently when we met for coffee, you were telling me about a instance where your son broke his arm, and that you found it interesting on how he actually reacted to that. Would you please share with what happened on that? And that was how long ago?
That was just about 3 weeks ago now, I guess.
Okay.
And yeah, we were out riding bikes. My daughter was just learning how to ride a two-wheeler, so we found this empty parking lot, and we were kind of cruising around there, so she'd have space. And me and my son decided to go for a race, right? So he kicks my butt as per usual. I stop racing, but he keeps giving her, right? I'm dead, and he's just, but he hits some sand or something, wipes out, spectacular crash. It was awesome, but
no footage?
No, I wish,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
I need one of those hero cams.
Yeah, exactly.
But he crashes. We're pretty sure he's broken his arm at this point, right?
Okay.
Really proud of my daughter. She comes over and no panic, no nothing. She just wants to make sure that he's comforted, right? So she's patting his head and can I take your helmet off? All this kind of stuff. So I was really proud of her. He's sitting there wondering what's wrong with his arm. So we kind of collect ourselves. We're pushing the bikes home, about a 10-minute walk to get there. And I'm looking at his face, and he's about to cry. Then he sucks it up, and then he's about to cry again, and he's not sure what to do. And then he chats with me a little, like there's nothing going on. Then he almost crying, like. So I ask him, a few more minutes before we get home, are you okay? And I'm expecting some curse words or something, right? Like, this fucking hurts. And but no, he comes out with, Dad, I'm experiencing a really big mix of emotions right now. I was blown away. Like, it was just surprising that he even knew that phrase.
Right.
But secondly, that he'd think about it at that moment when he's on all his pain and communicate it to me. I was pretty proud that he had the wherewithal to even acknowledge these emotions that he's feeling and mixing.
Okay, because generally that wouldn't be accepted by a lot of dads.
Yeah.
And a lot of dads would get into this whole thing of, suck it up and stiff upper lip, and this, frankly, this bullshit statement about man up. Like, really? What do we do that? We don't say to women, I can't even say it. Women up, women up. Like, these terms that we have. So him being, kind of conflictual as not knowing what to do and how to handle it, right, is obviously, I think, a testimony to you as a dad that he felt comfortable enough to actually show that softer side and not be too worried about that. So you're obviously accepting him of that, and well done for him to actually still be able to show those emotions and whatnot, because they lose it fast enough. They're like, in the school system, it's not going to be okay, and you have to show those kind of, not showing any emotions or any fears.
I'm sure if a couple of his buddies were with us, it would have been a slightly different situation.
Absolutely. So, and that's what kids do, right? They go to wherever what is socially accepted.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Cliff for joining us, and his information is going to be at the end of this video. And I just want to, again, acknowledge all the dads doing all the great work out there with their kids. You work hard, you work away from home, you sacrifice a lot, dads, and it's not lost on me about what you do to make your kids have a better life and your families. Well done, and keep up the good work. Luc Bouchard with Solvac Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and a dad for almost 10, and it's one of the best things, one of the best jobs there are out there. I know the dads that are proud of being fathers are nodding their heads with a big old grin on your face, and as you should. So keep up the good work, and we'll be talking all this week. The focus is going to be about father involvement and what we do as dads and how we get in our own way. So you take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.